Okay, good afternoon or good evening. Depends on the time zone that you're in, everybody. Welcome to another chapter of It's iBug's Life, where every fourth Thursday at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, we discuss home repairs, fixes, how to make, and things like that. But before we get started with this month's chapter of It's iBug's Life, I'm going to hand it back over to the main iBug guy to go over a few announcements, and then after the announcements, we're going to have introductions, and then we'll get started. So, Michael?
All right. Thank you, George. Yes. And my welcome to everybody that's online here tonight and those that will be listening to this via the recorded playback. I do want to remind everybody that's online, if you'll go down to the bottom of your screen, there's an invite button. And if there's anybody that you think might be get something out of this session, go ahead and send them a little invite.
Hello.
All right. As far as announcements coming up, iBug in the iBug world here in the next week, we've got tomorrow night, Friday, it's our iBug night at the virtual movies. And our movie feature this week is Terms of Endearment, starring Shirley MacLaine, Deborah Winger, and Jack Nicholson, among others. It's the 5 Oscar winner movie. A little bit of a tearjerker, so you probably want to have a little box of Kleenex handy. Join us. That starts at 8 p.m. Central, but you can come in early at 7:30 p.m. for our pre-movie social time, where we have a little bit of shenanigans and jokes and playing songs. And then after the movie, we always have a discussion of the movie and a little bit of trivia. The weekend, we're pretty quiet this weekend, but Monday night we have our regular iBug Buzz. That's at 7 p.m. Central, right here on this same Zoom. And I guess I should have said the movie's also on this same Zoom conference. Then next, we'll get into August. The first Thursday of August on the 3rd, that's our iBug Trekkie Talk, where we're watching the 6th season of The Next Generation. And I don't know, we always watch 2 episodes, and I can't remember the exact 2 episodes that we pre-watch those and come together and review those together at 8 p.m. Central, also on the same Zoom conference. And that takes us through the next week. So I will hand it back to our main host, George.
Okay. Hi, thank you, Michael. And thank everybody for being here. So now, before we get started, I would like to know who has taken time to be an audience of this show. So we're going to let everybody, if you're muted, go ahead and unmute yourself. If you got that announcement about this meeting is being recorded, you probably got to go and hit the guided button on your computer or your phone, and then it probably will allow you to activate the feature to mute and unmute. So everybody come off mute, and I want to know who's here, where are you calling from? Well, say your name, and then what city and state or country you're calling from if you're not in the United States.
Katrisa Cruz, Alabama, Selma, Alabama.
Sweet home Alabama. No, this is not a singing meeting.
My name is Jacob, and I'm from Michigan.
Jacob from Michigan.
Vincent,
welcome,
in New
Jacob.
Jersey.
New Jersey, Vincent?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Vanessa from Georgia.
Vanessa from Georgia.
Ned from Texas.
Ned from the Lone Star State.
Pete
This is
from Jacksonville, Florida.
What's the name from Florida?
Pete.
He Jacksonville, Florida. Okay.
Yeah, George.
This is Hungry for Barbecue Dan from Southern California.
From where? I heard Southern California. What was that first thing?
Dan.
Hungry for barbecue, Dan.
Right, right.
All right. Oh man, we well represented from all over the world, all over the country at least. Who's next? Who has a chance to introduce themselves?
Gloria from Houston.
Gloria from H-Town. I know where that place is at. Okay, who's next?
Mary
Elisa
Eleanor.
from Porter.
Elisa from Porter and Mary Ellen. Where are you from?
Scottsdale, Arizona, and this is
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yep.
Elisa from Porter, Texas. Sorry, I was laughing at something.
No, we heard you. We said Elisa from Porter.
Jerry
Anybody
from
else?
Oklahoma.
Jerry from Oklahoma. I wish I knew that song. Every time you hear the song Oklahoma, but I do not know it. I know there is one. I've heard it.
There is. Yep.
Something about okay in Oklahoma.
And I think there's a play too, a Broadway play called Oklahoma.
There is. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A good one too.
Hey, speaking of Oklahoma, I just saw in the news that you guys about to get a major theme park in 2026.
That's yeah.
I like roller coasters, so I may have to pay to visit. Anybody else?
This is Albert from Maryland, Chicago.
Who's from Chicago?
Albert.
Albert from
Hi,
Chicago.
everybody.
Deep Ditch. Pizza I'm talking about. Who's next? Albert,
Janice.
White Sox or Cubs? I'm sorry. All right, go. Who was the person I talked over? I'm sorry.
Janice from Maryland.
Janice from Maryland. Okay. Anybody else?
And Michael also in Texas.
I heard of that state. Albert, I was asking, Cubs or White Sox?
Neither one, actually. I'm originally a Wisconsinite, so I cheer for the Brewers.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You said Chicago. Okay, well, you Brewers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Probably were you
Logical
Brewers.
assumption.
There you go. There you go. Okay. And my name is George. For those of you who probably missed I didn't do an introduction. I just said my name. I'm also in Houston, and this is we do this show every month, every fourth Thursday. And I want to thank everybody for being here. I know for most of the part, I'm gonna take 90 seconds to be on a little soapbox of myself. I know it's hot everywhere. It's hot here too on the outside, but on the inside where I'm at in this new apartment that I've only been living in for less than a month, there's a story about it from what I'm about to. It's freezing in here. Now, the AC was broken, and I have been complaining to them about, let's get it fixed, And I think I had to be out of town in Fort Worth for a week. And that's when I think it first had broken, the day before I had left, at least 2 days before I had left. And so I'm thinking by the time I come back, it'll be fixed. They did accommodate me with a little portable unit that's only in a bedroom. So the rest of the apartment, if I leave my door open, will feel some sparkling of the cool air that the portable can put out. But for most part, only the bedroom stay cool, which I had to turn it off at night because sometimes it gets too cool. Well, cut to the chase. Since I had to work from home today, I went to the office about 3 different occasions to make sure they come and try to repair this AC unit. since my work area is not in the bedroom. And the first time the guy came and he was flipping the switches on the thermostat, and I had to tell him that, no, they turned off the breaker because it would not cut off. It was only blowing hot air. So he goes and turns on the breaker, look at the thermostat, and then he leaves. Now, again, he is someone who has limited English. There's a language barrier. He's predominantly Spanish, and my Spanish is very, very limited. So after about 2.5 hours, I went back to the leasing office and reported to them that the guy just turned on the breaker and left and really didn't fix anything. So then another guy had come over who also has a limited amount of English that he can speak to me. He did stay a while. Well, first, because the dishwasher was disconnected as well. So he worked on that for a minute. He did fix the air, but I was trying to let him know. I said, but it doesn't cut off. And I had to use the translator on my phone in order to communicate with him. But he just indicated that if you just raise it above like 75, it will go off. I think he had it set on 75, but he had the gauge all the way down to 60.
Oh,
so if I move it up, past 75, it should cut off. And so I just let him go because he wasn't getting me. But when I got past 76, I did hear it click, but it didn't go off. And so after about an hour where it's just cold in here, I went back to the office. This is my third time to let them know he almost got it working. Yes, it is cool now, but it doesn't cut off. And I don't want to be at 3 a.m. and it's 62 degrees in here. And so they told me, okay, we'll get to one right out. And the person who had to speak to us, his name was Javier. Yes, you really know what the name Javier. He spoke more English because I think he was the maintenance supervisor, but I don't know if he told somebody that got on the radio to come, but it's well after 6 o'clock Central Time right now. No one has been here. So that means I'm gonna have to pull out some blankets in order for me to go to sleep tonight. And as a matter of fact, as I'm conducting this call, well, I don't want to tell you where I'm at, but I'm in the warmest spot that I can find. I wanted to be in a closet, but I got stuff on the floor in the closet and I wouldn't be comfortable sitting in there. I would like to go on my patio, but my patio, although it's warm out there, it's not closed in, it's not screened in. So I don't know if they're going to be the little creepy crawlers that may get on me. And then my complex is on a busy street. So I know we usually don't like background noise in here. And me being a presenter, it'd definitely be bad for me to have background noise because you're subject to hear motorcycles, cars, police sirens, fire engines, children laughing, children playing, whatever noise you can hear in a complex that has over 800 units. So that's why I'm not on my patio. Even if it was safe for me to sleep out there, I would, but it's not. But anyway, I love my patio though. But so it means I got to go to the office in the morning. So I digress. Thank you guys for indulging me for a couple of minutes why I needed to share it with somebody because by me living alone, I don't even know anybody to share it with. So you guys were victimized. How about that? So on with the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey used to say. And probably only about 5 of you in here probably know when I mention Paul Harvey, who that person is. Yes, I'm telling my youth. Uh-oh. Come on, no taker, that is. So we're going to talk about, the title was Grilling and Chilling. And what I'm going to be discussing today, and we had discussed this before a while back, probably almost a year and a half, maybe 2 years. It's like one of the first times when we first started having this particular platform. And since last month, we had a lot of people who had chimed in that were brand new, and which I love that. It means everybody's spreading the word, and iBug is growing. So I thought we can bring it up again since we are in the middle of summer, where even though it's hot as it is, there's a lot of grilling that takes place. Let's go ahead and discuss grilling from a non-visual perspective, how to do it, how to prep, and all of those things. I'm going to be discussing both indoor and outdoor grilling. Yes, there is a two. So first, what I like to do now, everybody come off mute. Is there anybody in here who has never done any independent grilling on their own before? Has everybody experienced on the pits?
Jerry from Oklahoma has never done any grilling independently.
Never done it. Anybody else has never done it?
This is Dan. I've never done any independent grilling.
Okay, Dan. Anybody else?
I'm Vanessa. I've never done it. I don't want to do it.
You don't want to do it? Oh, no. I don't want to hear that.
I know, but
Hopefully after tonight, if I put it in simplistic statements, that may encourage you to at least try it. Now, I would say, if you do decide to try it, yes, I will have some company around in any case, until you build up the courage to do it yourself. Because even when I learned, it was not, I said, let me see if I can do this on my own. No, I actually was a part of, because of the work that I do, one of the training sessions was we actually went to the park and we actually did some grilling. And so I got to be hands-on. I was always around it a lot. And I think at one point I wasn't interested in trying it because everything tastes so good. I just wanted to eat it. But then it became to be, you know what, I can do this, it's more fun. And the rest is history. So since we only have a few people who has never done it, which means we must have some other experts in the room. So if you guys, when I make my, little instructions and things I'm going to explain, feel free to jump in and offer some other suggestions that I may have left out or something in addition to what I may present. And also, if you have never done it and you got questions, I know Michael had given the instructions at the beginning, but I'll just go ahead and repeat them here. That if you have a question or something just on your mind that you do want to ask or make a comment, by all means, come off mute, say your name, and then wait to be acknowledged. We will acknowledge you, and then I will give you the floor for you to make your comment or ask your question. Okay, so to get started, indoor grilling. Now, indoor grilling, it may be self-explanatory, but in case it's not, I'm just going to go ahead and say that's the electrical appliance that you may have seen infomercials about a long time ago, or now when you have to call the 1-800 something to order to make monthly payments, where now you can actually, for like the last probably 25 years, you can actually go into your big box store like Walmart, Target, or any department store and buy them off the shelf. But I'm talking about the indoor grill, like the George Foreman grill. Now, I mentioned the George Foreman grill. I do not have any stock in the George Foreman grill or the company that makes it or him. So that's just the one that I have gotten and have used throughout the years. I know there are tons, well, not tons, there's several other indoor grills that you can acquire, and they are all pretty much around the same price, and they all have different sizes. And what will determine the price is the size of the grill. The first grill, George Foreman grill that I had ordered, I was in college. I was at in my dorm at LSU, and happened to be up and watched the infomercial that he was talking about and promoting it. And at that time, you did have to call this toll-free number, and you can make 3 or 4. I think I did 4 monthly payments, 3 or 4 of about $39 I think it was $39.99. I thought it might have been 30, but I think it was for me because I think I ended up spending like about $120, and they shipped it to me when I placed the order, and it was round. Most of the grills today are not round. This one was round. It had one side, one plate, had a grease tray, which I'll talk about later, that may have been only about 4 inches in width. And it was shaped like, if you ever been on the amusement park ride called the Tilt-A-Whirl, or I may have seen it like a merry-go-round, how and you have the center point, and as you get closer to the edges, it kind of slants down. And I think they designed it like that on purpose because if you are trying something like chicken or bacon or whatever, they wanted to be able to slant down and go into the grease tray because it did have some little small holes that would empty out into there. And that way it won't stay all inside of the grill itself. And I think this is why part of the promotion when he started advertising this, that you won't have as much grease in whatever you're cooking on the indoor. Well, now, as of today, if you go into the shop, the grills are not round. At least I haven't seen them round in a while. Now they're kind of like wide and rectangles, sort of. And they come in different sizes. They have some where they may call a 2-person grill, which means you can, it's probably large enough to put 2 regular size hamburger patties on. And then they have some that are much larger where you can probably get like 5 or 6. I think the last one I had before mine, unfortunately, broke. I don't even know how it broke. I just know I was checking out of a hotel, was getting the ride home. And when I took the grill out of the suitcase, it had a big crack in the middle of it, on top of it, and all kind of wires are exposed. And that's a grill I think I had gotten for a birthday present about 8 years ago. And it was nice size. It was big. I could cook all kind of things on it, a lot of stuff on it because it was big enough. And the grill nowadays, like this one, it has 2 plates, which means the first grill that I had gotten, the round one that I got when I was in college at LSU, you had to flip things over because it only had 1 plate. Whereas now, I think, I don't remember the year they started coming out with that idea, but now most of them have 2 plates, meaning there's, when you lift up the top, there's a iron plate there, and on the bottom where you're going to place your, whatever it is that you're grilling, there's that bottom plate, so that when you close it, it allows whatever you're cooking on it to cook on both sides at the same time. So you don't have to worry about flipping it over. So, and that was a great improvement because now, like if I'm doing like a hamburger patty, depending on the thickness of the patty, if I set the timer, or I listen to the sound of it to give me an indication that it is done, I can just take it out and use either a 2-pronged fork or a spatula and pull it off of the grill and put it on my plate with a napkin. So if there's any type of grease, I can set it on there. So that's why I love the idea of them having 2 plates on them. Now, when you, any questions so far? Or any comments so far? Okay, hearing crickets, I'll move on. Now, when you have these grills, they do come with instructions on how to care for it, how to clean it. So there are, now, I'm sure there are several different strategies and textbooks and websites you can go to that give instructions on how to keep your grill clean. I'm going to tell you how I do mine. Oh, and I forgot to mention to you guys, the reason why I mentioned about anybody who's don't have any vision, who is not in the grill, because I'm someone, I don't have any vision at all. I was born with glaucoma, did have some vision till I was about maybe 5, 6, or 7 years old. I do have a recollection of what basic colors look like. Do remember seeing the blue sky and the green grass. But after all of that, my pressure got up so high that the optic nerve was destroyed. And so, no, I don't have any vision at all. But yet, I still can do the things that I need to do independently using alternative techniques, which was one of the things that I had taught for about, a little over 17 years, which is hence why this particular platform was established, thanks to Michael and Sandia. But anyway, here's how I keep my grill clean. Of course,
hey, George.
First. Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I couldn't get off mute earlier when you asked for questions. Can you describe a little bit more of the plates you're talking about? I envision a George Foreman grill as you lift up the lid and it's on your kitchen counter, and there you've got kind of the grating that, that you put your meat on or something like that. So I'm not sure what you mean by plates, especially a 2-plate. Can you help me a little bit more on that?
Okay, and I apologize. I should have been more descriptive, but that's
That's all
exactly
right.
what it is. It is the grill. I just called it plates because it's on the part of it. But it's, I guess we should say the grill plate. But it
Okay.
is those two things that you mentioned, like when you lift it up, those lines that go like from top to bottom, all the
Gotcha.
way across. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just use the word plate because some of them you can actually remove them. The one I had cannot be removed, but some of you can remove. So I think that's why I came up with the word plate. But no, it's
So
not
it's kind
like
of like a
a dinner
waffle
plate.
iron
Yeah, exactly.
where
Exactly.
you get the top also is kind of a grilling element as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They
Gotcha.
both are
Okay.
made the exact same, right? And they get hot. They get
Yeah.
extremely hot. You do not, I wouldn't advise when you have it plugged in for a while to touch it with your bare hand because it would definitely leave some scars and blisters.
Thanks, George.
No problem. Appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. And that's another thing I wanted to mention too. Yeah, some of the grills you can get have removable plates, and I like those. Matter of fact, when I purchase me a new one, I'm going to make sure that one has it. It makes the cleaning process a lot easier. See, the one that I had that you could not remove the plates, what I would do is I will take a dish towel or a small rag, wet it with hot water, as hot as I can stand it. And I will have the grill on the counter next to the kitchen sink. And I will take this rag and just wipe it down, with even strokes, going from the back of the grill to the front of the grill to whatever the residue from preparing whatever I was cooking on it goes off, and it goes off into the sink or into the grease tray if I left it up there. And I will do that several times until the grill is completely free of any type of cooking residue that was left on. I would do the same thing with the top part. Wipe it all down. They do advise you do not submerge the indoor grill in water. I think probably for obvious reasons, since there's a cord attached to it and there's some wiring that takes place within it. So submerging it in the water could probably damage the mechanism of how the grill will perform. So
This is
why.
Terry.
Hey, Terry.
Maybe it's understood, but before you even wipe it down with a wet rag or towel, or I use a paper towel if I've done that, but you want to unplug the unit first. I mean, maybe that's understood, but I think it's a good point to mention.
Absolutely. We definitely want to make sure that we are covering all safety part about this. So yes, guys, Terry is correct. You definitely want to have it unplugged, which also explains why not to have it submerged in water too. And man, that's almost with any electric or appliance. You definitely, if you're going to do any kind of cleaning with them, definitely make sure that they're unplugged and not plugged into any type of power supply. So thanks, Terry. I left that important step out. So yes, while my grill is unplugged, I'm taking a hot towel, and you can use a paper towel, or some people used to use foil. I didn't like using foil because I thought that might scratch up the plates, scratch up the grill. But I have seen someone do that, but I choose not to. That's just me. Hot water, and you may have to do it several times. It does, melt that residue. And if you're not worrying about your nails getting messed up, because I do use my fingernails along with the towel, so I'm not scratching the plates with my nails. I'm actually got it in the towel and I'm just rubbing it real good until it gets completely clean. Now I also may use, and this is like maybe a 3-step process. I would do with the hot towel first. Then, because I like the stuff to feel extremely clean, I may take like a Clorox wipe or a what's the other type of wipe? Lysol wipe, and wipe it down as well. After I have done the hot water, got all of the residue off, just making sure I got it good and clean and disinfected. And then I'm going to take that hot towel again, put some hot water, wipe it one more time. So that way, if any part of the residue from the wipe that I chose to use is not on there, and a way it'll be safe for me to place meat on there again. And so that's just the process that I use for cleaning the indoor grill. Anybody else have any other methods that you use to clean before I move on? Okay. And also, and of course, it goes without saying too, when you use the grill, depends on what you are cooking on it, your grease tray is going to get pretty full. Now, if you're doing something like, I will say, definitely bacon or definitely hamburger meat, those of you who are not vegetarians, it will create a lot of grease. This is why this grease tray is in place, because and I'm glad whoever was sort of the research and development team thought about that, because when that plate is slanted, and you probably have a big mess on your counter that you have your indoor grill or table that you have your indoor grill sitting upon. So you definitely want to empty that grease tray, and you can have yourself like an old, maybe aluminum can, or maybe an old coffee container or something like that to pour that grease into. Keep that close by. That way it won't, when you remove it, especially if it's full, you can probably look carefully with your fingertips to make sure your grease tray is not overflowing, and carefully lift it up. I may even say have your container that you're going to dispose of the grease into, maybe have it inside of the kitchen, inside of the sink, so that way if any of the grease spills, it just spills into the sink. Cleaning grease off of a floor is a daunting task. I mean, grease is just, if it gets on anything, it's hard to get off. So rather than trying to carry the grease to maybe your trash can, depending on how large your kitchen is, whatever you may have to walk to, just so that you don't have to worry about that grease leaking on the floor or on you or anywhere else, have that container that you're going to dispose of it with nearby, so you don't have to go too far, and just pour it in there. Now, the grease tray, you definitely can clean it in the sink, with your regular dishwashing liquid that you use, or however you wash your dishes. Since most of them are plastic, I don't think you can put them in a dishwasher. So you have to, unfortunately, wash that by hand, that grease tray. Now, you also want to make sure that you have chosen a good area where you're going to have this grill placed at. You don't want to have it, because remember, this is a picker to appliance that gets extremely hot. So try not to have any paper near it, not to have any type of flammable things like candles or something that it could actually get hot. You don't want to have any towels close to it unless you're going to have it underneath it in the area that does not get hot, because believe it or not, underneath the grill, the bottom part of it does not get that hot. But that top that you have to lay your meat on or vegetables on, that does get extremely hot. So whatever the grill is made out of does a good job that part does not get that hot. So make sure you're choosing a good area. You have enough counter space that it will fit comfortably, so that when you raise it up, you have enough room that it's going to open up wide, and then it's not hanging over the edge of the counter. So make sure you pick a good area, or you may even, like some people have done, they have like a special table set aside near an electrical outlet away from everything for their indoor grill. Okay, now, I already talked about the grease tray. I'm just going over my notes here. Now, okay. Things that you can cook on an indoor grill. Just almost about everything. I myself have cooked, I think on Valentine's Day, I actually cooked a ribeye steak on it. I didn't think it could be done, but I read some instructions, looked up some recipes, and actually, I think it didn't take nearly as long as I thought it was going to take. I thought I might have to do like about maybe 15 minutes, depends on how thick the steak is too. But no, this it only took like about 7 minutes, and really, it only took like 7 minutes. I had a perfectly good, medium well done ribeye steak. I actually cooked two of them. Now, of course, with anything, almost like anything you're going to grill, especially if it's meat, I will make a suggestion that you prep it first, meaning marinate it. If those of you know how to make a marinade, you know what kind of solution that you can soak the meat into. Let it sit for like hours at a time, or even days, depends on how well. Because what that does, it allows the flavor or whatever ingredients you're going to use, and not only have your meat tender, but it also will allow the flavor to go through and through the meat, not just on the top surface that you probably are applying your extra seasonings, or on the bottom. It allows that flavor to be all throughout the meat while it's cooking. And depending on what type of meat you have, you know, whatever recipe that you're following, or whatever instructions that you've gotten from somebody, you will determine how long you should marinate that meat for. Now, I have not, and I also have cooked bacon on the grill. Matter of fact, I like cooking bacon on the grill because it allows me to do, you know, I can have the bacon cooking on the grill, and the grill that I had before it had broken, I could do probably 4 large strips, sometimes even 5, depends on how the bacon was cut. But I could put 4 now, and I already knew I've done it enough time. I can lay it on the grill while it's cold, have them all flat out, plug it in, you know, put the top down, and then plug it in, make sure the grease trays in place, and set a timer for 10 minutes. I mean, it worked like clockwork. 10 minutes, and my bacon is done. So while the bacon is cooking, that way I can scramble me some eggs. I can make whatever I'm going to do with my breakfast. If it's going to be grits or potatoes, whatever it is, I can do all that at the same time. So, you know, when my eggs or my toast and all that is done, I can take the bacon off and everything is still good and fresh. So that's the part I like, actually, of cooking bacon on the grill. Now, if I'm fixing breakfast for multiple people, where I'm probably, or am going to do like 5 or 6, or it depends on what size grill I have at a time, that's when I will use it. If it's just me, my regular breakfast is probably 2 or 3 strips of bacon, 2 scrambled eggs. I'm not going to dirty up the grill for just 2 strips of bacon. I'll just fry them in a skillet. Say it again.
This is Janice. So
Hey, Janice.
does your bacon come out crispy?
Yes, it does.
Huh.
10 minutes.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
You know, if you want it almost burnt, and then I'll probably say go be 11 to 12 minutes, but no, I don't want it burnt. But no, it comes up very good, and it's flat. It's very presentable. It makes good presentation, because like when I cook bacon in a skillet, it's not going to come out as perfect as I have it laying on the grill, where it stays flat like you receive in the restaurants. I don't know how they do that, because I don't think they cook theirs on the grill. Well, you know what? Maybe they do. I have to find out. I should have asked. I know somebody who actually used to prep breakfast food at a DoubleTree hotel, and one of his jobs was to prep the bacon. Someone to ask me, you know,
This
did they
is
lay it on
Janice
the
again.
grill?
You know,
Yes.
my husband cited, and his bacon comes out like perfectly, like you said, presentable. But when I do it, you know, it's just a curly mess, you know.
Uh-huh.
So this would
Exactly.
be good so that I can do it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the grill, it comes out straight. In a skillet, some people can do it. I can't. I think my mother used to be able to do it. When that's about the only other person who probably cooked breakfast for me. But I don't know how they get that thing perfectly flat. And I guess you would need a big enough skillet too. But even in a big skillet, I couldn't keep it like that, because, you know, I use the stirring method when I'm frying bacon inside of a skillet. So it's not going to be perfectly flat, but it is done and edible. So, or like some people say, eatable.
This is Terry.
Hey, Terry.
When you cook your maybe you said this and I missed it. I apologize if I did. When you cook your bacon on the grill, you put that top lid down as well, correct?
That is correct.
Because otherwise you're going to have grease splattering everywhere.
Absolutely.
And
that is correct.
When I cook my bacon in a skillet, I also put, if I do, I usually put it in the microwave with a bacon cooker
Bacon tray.
that you hang the bacon over and into a trough and all the grease drips in there and it's in the microwave. And I like to do that too. But if I do it in the skillet, I also put the lid on so that I don't have grease splattering everywhere.
Let me ask you this, Terry. Now, when you put the lid on it, because I don't do that, but there's nothing wrong with the way you're doing it. But does it take a long time, you think, or how long does it take when you cook bacon in a skillet with the top on?
I haven't done it for a while, so I mean, like 5 minutes maybe. Depends on how high I have the heat, and I don't like to put the heat up very high because I just don't feel like it's safe to do that. So maybe I'm gonna say at least 5 minutes, maybe even 10. But you're cooking it on both sides, and so it's probably comparable to the grill, but I haven't done it for a while, so I have to confess I don't remember.
Okay, no problem. Because I'm just imagining, because I know usually when you cover up anything, that just does make it sometimes take a while. But it definitely will prevent grease from splattering. You are correct. But yeah, I'm one of those, if I'm doing it in the skillet, I have it with no lid on it, and it takes me like maybe 3 minutes.
So this is Janice.
To be done. Hey, Janice.
I have another question about this bacon. So when you put it on the grill, are you putting it parallel to the ridges or perpendicular? Or does it matter?
It depends on how long your strips are. Let me think. I go horizontal. Because like I said, if I'm talking about my grill, it's rectangular, so that means the long ways is going to be horizontal, and I lay them that way because usually the strips and type of bacon that I get is kind of long. That if I did it vertical, I'll have to fold it. So yeah, I put them across the grill long ways, horizontal. And like I can get like 3, maybe 4, 5 at the most. Depends on how the bacon was cut.
Okay.
And again, I put it on there when the grill is cold. I haven't plugged it in yet. And so once I got as many on there, then I do put the top down, plug it in, set a timer for 10 minutes, and you can use your smart devices, or if you have one of those manual clocks, all of that, set it for 10 minutes. And then, let me explain this too. When it is done, now some people may use a spatula to get it off of the grill and put it on the plate. I actually use a fork because, it's cooked, and all I got to do is, the fork is like an extension of my hand anyway. I can tell when I'm touching meat or when I'm touching the actual grill itself, and I just go underneath it. It's long enough already, so it's going to wrap itself around the fork itself, and I just go over and put it on the plate. But now, that's just a technique that I have developed. Now, if someone may want to use like a double spatula, so they just make sure they grab and everything, the double spatula is also an extension of your hand. You can do that as well. My ex-wife at the time, that's the way she always had done it. She used a spatula. She was one of those who was very intimidated by heat. So she just wanted to make sure that no way she's going to burn herself, which, I didn't make fun of her. That was just her way of actually getting it off of the grill. So yeah, if you're going to do it that way, definitely have you a plate nearby with a paper towel on it to drain any grease that's left on, and orientate yourself to where everything is. You know where your grill's at, you know where your plate's at. Once you do it enough, you're going to become very good at it. You know to take the part of the lid of the grill that sticks out. That's the part that you would grab. That part does not get hot. So you can actually either lift it up with your hand, or if you are someone who's intimidated by heat, get you maybe an oven mitt or something and lift it up. Let it go back to as far as it can go. It's not going to lay all the way back because they build in a way that it would not go all the way back to where both sides are laying flat. It'd be like kind of like opening up like a window or a door or something like that, where it's going to be sitting up. And when you're doing bacon, it's not going to stick to that top grill because it's being very flat. It's not going to stick to it at all, but it will. The other top plate will get hot enough that it is going to cook it on both sides. And then once you have lifted up, you can have like one hand on the plate that you're placing the bacon on, while your other hand is grabbing the bacon with either your double spatula or your fork, and you know exactly where to drop it at.
May I make a comment about marinades, please?
Go ahead. What's your name?
Oil and vinegar-based salad dressings are your best friends when it comes to marinades, especially something like an oil and vinegar salad dressing. That way you can add whatever you want. And then other, oil and based vinegar things are like Wishbone Italian salad dressing for one, and Olive Garden Italian salad dressings are really excellent, and teriyaki dressings are also excellent.
Totally agree with you about the salad dressing. That is a very good marinade. Anybody got any other suggestions for some marinade? Let's discuss that. Let's make each other hungry tonight. And how long do you marinate your meat for?
I haven't done it in ages. It depends on the meat. It's chicken, it's like half an hour should do it. But if you have a nice flank steak, I usually do, start before I go to bed and marinate it, overnight.
Okay. Sometimes that's all you need too. Just a few hours, sometimes I forget which restaurant I had going into, and I read the menu and it was indicating how they grill their steaks for 5 days. I don't know if that's really what they did.
But really, overnight is the longer something like beef is in a marinade, the more tender it'll make it. And something like flank steak is naturally a tough cut of meat, so it really makes a wonderful flavor.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Hi, it's Vanessa.
Hey, Vanessa.
Hi. Well, when I used to eat meat, we used to marinate. I used to season it up at night, season it with, onions and peppers and, seasonings. And, but I would do it overnight, because then of course, the flavor is much, much better. And another thought I was thinking, when I had company over the holiday, the bacon, but I put the bacon in my air fryer and did it in the air fryer, so that's one of the ways we did bacon. But I'm not a meat eater anymore, but yeah.
Well, it had to be recent because the air fryers was only invented, a couple of years ago? Well, not a couple of years ago, maybe like, okay.
Exactly. Yes. And I was thinking you were talking about, grill outside, you grill.
Oh, that's coming.
I said, I don't want to learn that, but I've had the George Foreman grill, years ago, and yeah.
No. Well, we're not done. We're going to talk about outdoor grilling. It's coming.
Oh, okay.
It's on my agenda.
Okay.
Now, I'm glad you talked about it. I'm going to ask you a little bit, actually right now, because I just got an air fryer. I remember I think I've even said it in this platform that I'm one of those. Okay. I'm very late on getting the air fryer. I'm very late on getting the Instant Pot. Matter of fact, I bought somebody an Instant Pot, but I never purchased one of my own. But I just celebrated a birthday last week, and my daughter bought me an air fryer, and I'm like, because I didn't know what it was. She told me, she said, look on your counter, where you have your coffee maker. And I say, well, wait, what's this round thing? And I said, well, the ones that I had seen were much larger. I didn't know they made them this cute and small now. This thing almost like the size of a Keurig machine. So I didn't know, it looks big enough that I can only probably get like 2 pieces of chicken in it, but I didn't know you could fry bacon in there.
Yeah.
Now,
you can.
which leads me to this question. I know I'm getting off topic a little bit. I'm only going to be here for like a minute. Um, if you're gonna fry bacon in an air fryer, where does the grease go?
It goes to the bottom there. They have a there's where you lay the bacon and has this it has holes in it, and then there's another little pot under. So yeah, it'll go down like that.
Okay.
But I don't eat it, so
Well, I haven't joined your family. I do eat it. I'm still a meat freak.
Okay. And also keep in mind when people do a lot of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of olive oil is 125 calories.
Duly noted.
So,
She adds in that disclaimer. Okay. Thank you, Vanessa.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any comments or questions before I move on? Anybody want to give me some tips on the air fryer, feel free. Anyway, let's see. Cover that. Okay. Oh, we're almost at the bottom of this hour. I do too much talking sometimes. All right, so let's talk about, you also, before I get into the outdoor grilling, you also can, because I was mentioning things you can cook on it, that I've cooked on it. I've done steaks. I've done hamburgers, of course. I've done bacon. I've done chicken strips. If I'm making like a grilled chicken salad, that actually is wonderful. You can have all your other, ingredients you're going to put in your salad, but you're going to like strips of chicken in there that you can cut up. That makes the grilled chicken salad tastes awesome. So I've made that at home. I've grilled like boneless, skinless chicken breasts to maybe go with like maybe some greens or a cabbage or whatever I decided to cook for the sides. I have not grilled a stuff like and it's going to show that I'm a meat freak. I have not grilled any pork chops on it. I have not grilled any chicken on it with the bone in it. I've done the boneless chicken, as I mentioned before, but never one with the bone in it because I look like if I was to put like a big chicken breast on there, I don't think the top is going to close all the way. So that's why I have never tried that. Now, somebody may have done it. I just have not done that. I have not done any ribs on it. If I'm doing ribs, I'm usually either going to bake them in the oven or for the most part, I'm going to grill them on the charcoal grill outside.
This is Terry.
Hey, Terry.
If you, and I have not done it, but I know it is possible. You can buy pork chops that are thinner with the bone in, and those would fit on the grill, on the indoor grill with the lid closed if you wanted to do it that way.
I can imagine it would. It's not that
but
thick.
They have to be thinner. And
Right.
I don't know, lamb chops, I don't know if that falls into that category as well. But I've seen the real thin bone-in pork chops, and I think I have seen a real thin lamb chop. Maybe I believe I have with the bone in.
I have seen lamb chops, and they are very thin, but I do not know how to cook them because I think there's a special way you have to cook lamb chops different from any type of like pork chop or
that's true
chop. And I haven't messed with that. I think one time my daughter asked me to buy her some lamb chops because she wanted to impress somebody that she was dating at that time, who unfortunately is no longer in her life. I can't believe I did that, but anyway, I digress. I didn't even get one of them, and I bought them. But hey, that's just me. But I think I've eaten a lamb chop once. That was at some function that was at. So I have no idea how to cook them, but I hear you have to be very careful on how to cook those. And
right, you don't want to overcook them because then they're kind of, they can taste kind of gamey and yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to do that, I definitely have to study and we'll probably follow that recipe to the letter because I wouldn't want to mess with because they are not cheap. All right, since I mentioned charcoal, let's move on to the charcoal grill. Don't hang up on me, Vanessa. You can do it. Okay, now, if you're going to do charcoal grilling. Now, I do understand. I know that there is charcoal grills and there's also a gas grills. I didn't prepare any material for gas grill because I've never cooked on a gas grill. I never bought one, and I haven't really been around any of them that much. Most of the grills that I've been around have been always charcoal. I don't have a smoker either, even though I have had smoked meat, which is very good if you smoke it correct. But I haven't learned that technique yet either. I just have a grill or have done charcoal grill. Now, charcoal grills come in different sizes as well. You can get these big grills that, man, you can cook enough food for a whole neighborhood because they have like two big racks of things that are probably about 5 to 6 feet wide and width. And like I know a friend of mine, they have one in their yard, and they had me to cook on it for them one time for 4th of July function a few years back. So that was a lot of fun working with something that size. It had a thermometer already built in on it, a digital gauge that you can tell how hot your stuff is getting. No, it didn't talk, but I wouldn't imagine you probably could buy a grill with a talking thermometer on it, or there are talking thermometers, meat thermometers that you can purchase if you definitely need to, if you're that much of a perfectionist or chef to know the temperature of things. And usually when I cook, I go by the way it smells, the sound, the texture, and if I really want to be perfect, I may borrow some sighted person who's got good eyes to let me know the color of it. But for the most part, I can determine when something is done by the smell, the sound, and the texture with the tools that I'm using. Now, when you're setting up your charcoal grill and you buy your charcoal, they come in these big bags. This is what I had learned when I first learned how to grill. You don't want to put the charcoal, especially if you got one of these grills that's kind of rectangular shape, which means it's going to be more rectangular than square. You want to layer your charcoal underneath the little rack that you're going to be placing your meat on. So you're going to raise that rack up, and the rack is like kind of think about if you're in your oven and you got these two racks that you can pull out, if you put something on the bottom or something on the top. Well, the ones that goes on the charcoal grill is kind of made like that, with the little skinny little rods going across or going vertically as well as horizontally. This is on your grill as well, where you're going to lift that part up. And that way you got this like the barrel or the body of the charcoal grill. This is where you're going to place your charcoal. And I would say layer it in like about either 3 or 4 deep, meaning you're going to fill in your charcoal from front to back on one side of the grill, not the entire bottom. Maybe the width of about, depends on the size of the grill, but I would say maybe like 4 or 5 inches. You put one layer down, flatten it out, put another layer on top of that, another layer on top of that. So like about 3 or 4 deep, depends on the depth of your grill. But you do want to layer the charcoal. That helps to maintain the heat, to maintain the fire that you're going to light. Then, I'm pausing because I thought I had to sneeze, but it didn't want to come because I paused. There it is. When you lay your charcoal on one side, now I always put mine on the left side. Don't know why, that's just what I prefer. You can pick a right side if you want, but I always have mine like on the left side of the grill. Then I will take my lighter fluid and pour it over the charcoal. Make sure it's covering all of the charcoal, all sides, even if it's going to leak through, because this is what you're going to use to ignite the heat. And also you have enough that is going to maintain it. So in order to do that, some may do this, some of you may not have to, because there are some charcoal that you can purchase that they say has lighter fluid in it. Now, I've done it before, but to me, I don't think it had enough in it because I still ended up having to pour some lighter fluid to actually get the thing to ignite. So when you got the things, Now, I don't want you to drench them. Don't empty your can of lighter fluid or your bottle of lighter fluid over it. You can take like one hand. Now remember, I'm using my hand because I don't have any vision. So no matter what site, probably don't have to do this. But I'm using one hand so I know where I'm pouring that is going over the charcoal and not outside of the grill, or not on the other part of the grill where I don't want to have charcoal there. Only all over the charcoal in that a defined area. So once that, and I know I probably could give you a measurement if you want like a fourth of the bottle or a cup full. I don't know because I've never measured it, but I do know I can tell when the charcoal has gotten, the charcoal is well soaked with lighter fluid. If you want to make sure you want to maintain a fire or something like that, you may want to take like one sheet of paper to stick in between the charcoal. And that way it's for sure that all of the charcoals will get lit. Now, when you light it, I will recommend get a grill lighter. A grill lighter is kind of shaped like a gun, except it's a lot smaller. It has a long stem. The stem may be about, and when I say stem, it's like a little round rod that protrudes out from the part where you're going to pull the trigger, where you're going to light it at. And it's got a little small hole at the other end where the heat will come from when you fire it. And so it's like about maybe 6, maybe 7 inches long. The one that I'm speaking of, it's like about 6, 7 inches long. So that way you can put the point of the grill lighter, stick it in the middle of the charcoal, or not that you're touching it, just as long as you get it close enough. So when you pull the trigger, when you go to light it, enough of a flame will come out hot enough that it's going to ignite the charcoal. You may can do this too. Before lighting it, and this only if when you put the rack back down over the charcoal, if the spokes, what I'm calling spokes are those little skinny rods that go vertically and horizontally. If they're wide enough that you can put the tip of your grill lighter in between them, this is where it could be safe. And all you got to do is pull the trigger. It's going to click, and you can hear it go poof. You might hear like small little poof. That means that the fire's come out of lighter. And then you can hold one hand up. You can tell and you can feel when your charcoal is lit, because it is going to flare up, but you can be safe. It's not going to burn you as long as you and that's why you have these grill lighters, because they're long enough that you're not going to burn yourself. Now, what you can do is when you light it and it first flare up, this first time it's going to flare up real high, but eventually it will calm down. Don't worry, you're not going to set the house on fire. It's not going to set you on fire or anybody around you on fire. It's just going to maintain, it's going to stay inside of that grill. And hopefully the wind is blowing, because you will need oxygen to feed into that grill. If you light it and put the top down real quick, your fire is going to go out. This is what has happened to me. That I'm thinking my thing's lit. I don't put the top down. I don't went to go get the meat from inside and put it on the grill, and my fire is going out. So I got to light it all over again. I got to set my stuff down in a safe place that no insects get on it, or have it well covered up. And then I got to go through the process of lighting the grill again, lighting the charcoal. So this is why when you light it, again, I don't want to scare anybody. You're not going to burn yourself. I really don't think you will. Only way you're going to burn yourself if you're just leaning over it, or you got on a long shirt or something like that that's probably going to catch on fire with it. So I wouldn't address. Don't wear your church clothes or your farmer clothes if you're going to be lighting the grill. Something that's going to hang down. If you got long hair or braids or something like that, don't let that hang down in the front, that it's going to be on the grill, because then you're going to get your hair on fire. Even though they say when you burn hair, that's supposed to bring you good luck, but I don't know. I don't know how true that is for no superstitions. So get your grill lighter. Again, the stem is like about 6 inches. You can either stick it in between the rack, or you can don't put the rack on, just hold it over it and light it. And then once your fire's good, because the rack is going to fit over the grill perfectly. So it'll fit like a glove, and you probably can use oven mitts with that, so that way you will not burn your fingers or anything. But the safest way, for those who, if you're doing it for the first time, like remember, I'm one of those, I've been doing it for years, that I don't put the rack down first. But the safest way is go ahead and cover the rack over your charcoal that you've already put your light fluid on. Stick your grill lighter in between there on the side where your charcoal is at. Click it. And you may have to, here's another trick too. You may have to click the front part and also the back part. This is the way you can get an even fire. Because if you only click like one part of it, probably only at the beginning, that section is going to be burning. And then you may have to do other techniques to get the rest of it to burn. So you may want to click the front part and then click the back, or light the front, light the back. The middle too, depending on how big your grill is. This is where you have an even fire. And keep your top up, keep all of the holes open, because most of your grills have sides on the left side, either side, left or right, and even in the front. They have like these little windows. You want to keep those open because you need that wind, that oxygen to feed that fire. Now, once your fire has gotten good and you actually have put your first type of meat onto it, whether if it's chicken, whether it's hamburgers, whether it's sausage or ribs, whatever you're cooking, and some of the juices from your meat drips into that fire, your fire is going to be good and maintained. You don't have to worry about keep lighting it. Once it's good maintained, you definitely then can put your top down, and putting the top down helps to give whatever you're cooking the nice flavor. And also, it'll make the whole neighborhood, wherever you're grilling at, everybody's feeling they're going to want some. Any questions on lighting the grill, lighting the charcoal? Any comments or thoughts? Who's that? Oh, I thought I heard someone talking. Now, again, I hope I didn't scare anybody, because yes, remember, this is outdoor cooking, so you will have a fire that's going to light up, but it can be done with using those methods that I tell you. You will not burn yourself unless you get extremely too close. And which I already told you, you don't want to do that either. But get that grill lighter. Now, if you happen to not have a grill lighter or don't have one, then this is where having a rack on is going to be a problem, because you could use some matches and you can just strike a match, drop it down in there, and if you're not too high up, it'll burn enough that you will be able to get the fire started with the charcoal. There are such things as grill matches too, and it kind of like in the same manner of like the grill lighter, that these matches have longer sticks on them, longer pieces of wood, so that way you can strike it, hold it over the charcoal, and once it starts burning and the fire gets started, you can actually just let it go and let that matchstick burn up in that wood into the charcoal as well to give it another length. So you can either use a grill lighter. If you don't have a grill lighter, use grill matches. They're made for that. They're going to burn longer, and the sticks on them are a lot longer. Okay, any questions?
Hi, it's Carl. I have a question.
Go ahead.
What is the difference between the regular lighter and the grill lighter?
The length. A grill lighter has a longer little rod that protrudes from where you're actually going to pull. Remember, I said a grill lighter is almost shaped like a gun, because it has like a trigger that you pull, like you're shooting a gun. And the grill lighter is a lot longer than if you're using like a lighter for lighting like a cigar or a cigarette or something like that. Those things do not have that long stem. All they got is just a little hole near the two wheels that you're going to flick to get the lighter to light. So that's the difference between the two. The grill lighters are a lot longer.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Alexa, what time is it? 8:12. Sorry if I activated everybody's devices. I don't have a watch in here where I'm at. Okay. Any other questions? What did I do? Here we go.
May I make a comment? It's Mary Ellen.
Go ahead.
There is a device out called an iGrill, IGRILL. You'd have to Google it. I cannot remember where I got mine. What this does is it cooks meat from you set your meat, and there's an app that goes with the iPhone. It's very accessible. You set your internal temperature. So if you want to cook poultry, there's they have presets, and they'll say poultry, and they'll tell you the internal temperature. You set that, you put your probe into the meat, and I can tell you honestly that I've cooked chicken, I've done bratwurst, I've done tri-tip roasts on it, and it's some of the best meat you will ever eat because it's cooked properly.
Is this indoor or outdoor?
Yeah, it's an outdoor.
iGrill. Anyone else heard of an iGrill? You would make me go Google it.
I don't know how well it would work with a charcoal grill, but my complex doesn't allow open flame grills, so I have a Weber electric grill.
Okay.
It works like a charm with it.
iGrill.
Yes.
I have never heard of that. But you have piqued my curiosity.
The chicken comes out absolutely fabulously, and the skin is crisp. It's just unbelievable.
So you can operate it with your iPhone?
You operate it with your iPhone. It beeps. It's very audible. It'll beep halfway through. And I haven't used it in a while, but I think it might even tell you to turn your meat. And you turn your meat, and it just, you wait, and then it counts down, and it gets to maybe 5 minutes, and it'll say 5 more minutes and your meat is done. And then it'll count down. It'll beep every maybe 3 minutes, and then 2 minutes, and then 1 minute. And then it starts 10 seconds,
Okay.
after about 30 seconds, it'll go 10, 9, 8, 7, or whatever.
All right, I'm gonna have to go look at that. I have that's news to me. I have never heard of that. Never heard anybody even mention it.
Well, it just takes all the guesswork.
I see it does.
And the nice thing is you can set it down and walk away with your phone, and your phone's going to let you know what's going on.
Mhm.
And it'll tell you can swipe right, and it'll tell you what the internal temperature of meat is. It'll say, 60 degrees, 110 degrees, 130 degrees, medium rare or whatever. And then it just lets you know. And you think it's not going to work, and it works. It has worked for me every time.
Okay. No, you actually giving this information to somebody who loves gadgets, so this might be on my list.
All right. Glad I could help.
An iGrill. I'm definitely going to look that up. Okay. Now, and on it, getting back to the charcoal grill. Now, on that, things that I have cooked besides what I've already mentioned before, and on this, depending on how hot your fire is, will determine how long something's cooked. So this is one of those things you're gonna have to. Once you do it enough times, like I've done it enough times that I can almost know, I can smell, or just by the time, or to listen for the sound of something when it's time for me to, if I need to flip something over or take it off the grill because it's ready to cook on both sides, I can tell by the texture. By using, I may have like these long little tongues, and I take the edge of it, and I may even take very lightly my fingertips to touch the meat to let me know how tough it is. And if I get to the point where I think it is done, well, I'll put it this way. Once my fire is going good, like let's say I'm doing chicken, which the first time I'm probably gonna let it cook for like maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes, depends on how high I have my fire. I will go out there and then I'll flip it over. Once I flip it over, using the double spatula or the double tongues, get it on the other side, and you can tell, at least I'm able to tell, without me and I have any vision, what side is the cook side, what side is the not cook side, because the texture is going to be extremely different. And I'm also going to make sure I'm well orientated to where I'm placing the meat on the grill so I don't have to do all this searching. And the reason why I use a double spatula, because the double spatula is like my friend, it helps me have control over if I need to flip something over. And I may use like a long fork, because if I'm just want to just flip like again, I'm gonna use chicken as an example. If I just want to flip it over so it can grill on the other side, I'm gonna use my long fork to see how much space is on one side, on each side of the pieces of chicken. So that way, if I'm going to stab it and flip it over, that it's gonna fall on the other side, the side that needs to be cooked, and not fall on the ground or fall off the grill. So orientation is definitely something that's a good practice, making sure you know the length, the depth, and the width that you're working with, utilizing the instruments you're using to grill with, whether it's a double spatula, a long fork, or something like that. And just because I want to be a perfectionist, if I got someone around, I will stab it, like when both sides have cooked, hold it up. I may use Ira or Be My Eyes, or if somebody is around, I'm going to ask him, hey, what color is this chicken? And they tell me it's golden brown. And I'll flip it over. Is it brown on this side? Yes, it's brown on that side. Or they may say it's almost brown, a little pink. That means I got to put it back on the grill on that side. So I'm using whatever techniques I need to use to make sure I'm having fully cooked meat. But when you do it enough times, you definitely will know, again, by using those other senses, the smell, the texture, the sound of it, how it's cooking, that will tell you when something is done. And the more you cook on something, the more your fire is going to be steady as well. Hamburgers may not make nearly as much noise as chicken does, because chicken is juicier. Ribs, now here's what I do with ribs, because I like my ribs to stay tender. Not only would I have the ribs marinated, but I'm actually going to probably either boil them on top of the stove, or for the most part, and this is what I do most of the time, I would bake them in the oven first. After I have prepped them, I have washed them, I have cleaned them, I have marinated them, I've applied my seasonings with them that I'm using, that I want to put on the meat, on the ribs, whatever. And I like, hold on, guys. I'm getting a low battery, so I got to go get me a charger, but I can still talk. And just had that low battery announcement started me a bit. So, but what I do is I will boil them. Oh, not boil. I'm gonna bake them in the oven, cover it up in a pan with foil, and I'll wrap the foil on there real tight, so I don't want no air to come out. It's going to be smothered by its own heat and its own juices. And so like I said, like 40, 45 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depends on how big of a slab I got, how big of a stack I got. And once I get that done, and I may do that, excuse me, the night before. It's cold out here. Excuse me, guys. I may do that the night before, or probably that morning of, before I go put them on the grill. So that means my meat is going to be good and tender. And then I will throw them on the grill, because I want that smoke flavor to be a part to get into the ribs. That outdoor cooking flavor. And so, I may put maybe just a little bit of liquid smoke, not a whole lot, because if you put too much liquid smoke on your meat, that's going to ruin it. It's going to be very tangy and not going to taste good. It's going to taste like somebody don't know what they're doing. I couldn't think of a better description. Sorry about that. But that's what I do so that my ribs will stay tender. And I'm going to put them on the grill probably for like about maybe 10, 15 minutes. So I can let that charcoal, all the flavors and from other meats that I'm cooking stay inside the ribs. And it's going to give it that outdoor taste. So that's what I do with ribs. I don't do it with chicken because chicken doesn't need it. But sometimes ribs can be tough. So I'm just going to help it to get to stay tender when I have cooked it place them on the grill. I have seen people cook seafood like fish and shrimp on the grill. I have never done it, so I don't have any techniques to tell you about that. Whether if you're gonna just lay that flat on the rack, I don't think so. I think you got to have some kind of pan or tray to put seafood on the grill. But I have seen seafood like fish fried on the grill, on an outdoor grill. I think I'm gonna learn it because it does taste real good too. Okay. I'm checking the time. 8:23. All right. Any questions on what I've covered so far before I get into vegetables?
I have a question, just very quickly. What temperature oven do you use for your ribs, please? It's Mary Ellen.
What temperature for what? I'm sorry, my phone was talking.
The ribs, what temperature do you set your oven?
350.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 350. Or if I really wanted to cook real slow, I'll maybe drop down to 300. Because I do know as a technique, the slower you cook it, it's definitely going to make them more tender. And that's the secret of baking. To let it be like a slow cook. Don't be in a hurry. So if you do like 225 or 300, that way they'll cook real slow and they'll be extremely tender. But for the most part, I may do 350 as well. That way, if I do 350, it's only going to be like 45 minutes or 15 minutes. But I think the slower that they're cooked, the more tender they'll be. That's my technique. There may be others, but that's mine. I haven't written a book. I haven't published one, but I'm just going from experiences. Now, one last. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, back on indoor grilling, the electric grills, do you have to worry about them, or does it ever cause smoke like you would have with an outdoor grill?
I've never experienced that. I think the only time it may cause smoke if you leave it on there too long, and then that means your meat is ruined too, because everything's gonna be tough and dried out. But I've never. What you mean? I may get like some steam if I got it too close to like a smoke detector, because believe it or not, I know we're not supposed to do this in most places, but I actually have done some grilling in a hotel room before and set off the smoke alarm. But I used my techniques to get the steam to go down by just taking like a big towel and just wave it in front of it. And that made it go away. And then, of course, I think I moved my grill too because I was too close to it. But I've never had a smoke problem. I may get a lot of steam though.
Okay.
Because sometimes you could turn on hot water too hot, it'll make a smoke detector go off. There is one thing I forgot before I move into vegetables I wanted to cover too. We talked about how to start the fire, how to light it, how to maintain it, how to cook on it. I never talked about how to put it out. Now, this is a simple way. Unfortunately, it's a slow process for it to go out, but it's a simple way. After you have done all the grilling that you're going to do on that grill, meaning you done cooked all your meat, your chickens, your ribs, your sausages, your steaks, your shish kebab, whatever it is you're going to cook, your bratwurst, your Polish side, all this, whatever you're going to cook on that grill, and you're done. The way you put the fire out is put the top down and close all of the vents. Remember those vents I told you that's open up in the front and on the side, that the wind and the oxygen from the air helps feed the fire? Well, now you're going to smother it. You're going to close all of those windows, all the ones that you can find on your grill, on the top, on the front, on the side, to make sure they're all closed. Now, it's not going to go out immediately, though. It may take like probably 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours the next day before it's completely out. That's why sometimes some people could grill something and be done for a while. And if the fire's still hot enough, you can go grill again probably 2 hours later because it's still kind of hot enough that if any juices drip from that, it's going to ignite it and it's hot enough that you'll be able to cook on it later. So that's the safest and the best way to put it out. Just close all the events. And I always had to wait till like the next morning when I know everything's completed and cooled down enough and all the fires are out. Because then you got to go to the process of cleaning out the grill because you done burned all this charcoal and it has a lot of ashes that's now be in the bottom of your grill that you're going to have to get out of there by either using the scoop and empty it into a bag, or if your grill is small enough, get like a huge trash bag and just dump all of the ashes into it. It's going to have a lot of big pile of ash that build up, right? Fine dust from all of the charcoal that has burned from cooking and grill. So that's how you put the fire out, and that's how you pretty much clean it out. Now, your racks that you've cooked on, you definitely got to wash them the regular way like you will wash your dishes. It's going to probably take a little extra work than washing plates and pots and pans because remember, you did some outdoor grilling on it, some stuff has caked up on it, but it can be washed, it can be clean. You definitely want to keep your grills clean for whenever you're going to use it again. I would recommend cleaning it as quickly as you can, like the next day, because then it makes it like easier for the stuff to come off. If you wait until the next time that you're going to grill, which may be like however often someone's grilled, if it's every week or it's the next month, it makes it harder to clean when stuff is just piled up on there or had time to sit on there and gotten all hard. So I would advise if anybody's going to try it, and when you're done and you want your grill clean it as quickly as you can when it's gotten cool enough too. Any questions? Las preguntas.
This is Dan with a question about indoor grills.
Good, Dan.
How do you set the timer on an indoor grill if you're visually impaired?
I use either a manual timers that I have, or I use the timer on my iPhone or whatever type of smartphone you have, or you can use the timer on your smart devices. If it's your Google speaker or your Amazon speaker, you can just tell it, set a timer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, whatever kind of timer you have will be sufficient enough to use. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to confess something because I think someone asked me about how you cook vegetables on the grill. I actually, when I'm grilling, I'm a meat person. So I'm going to cook the meat on the grill. All of my vegetables, I'm cooking probably in a pot, and they're just going to be available to eat alongside. So like if I'm doing baked beans, I'm cooking them on top of the stove. Although, I'll take that back. One time I did cook baked beans on the grill. It was one of these big grills that I was talking about that has the 2 racks. And I just put the baked beans in the pan, because I think we was cooking for several people, like about 40 or 50 people. And we just set the pan on one of the racks, put the top down, and, kept checking to make sure it was done. So we did cook them. I guess you say we was like baking it on an outdoor oven for baked beans. But for the most part, baked beans, there's going to be red beans and rice, corn on the cob, something like that. I'm boiling that or cooking that on top of the stove to go along with the meat that I have grilled. However, I did went and looked up some information as far as like how to prepare vegetables for the grill. So I'm going to read this to you a little bit. And if everybody got any questions or comments after that, it's probably going to wrap up this section. But it's not that long. We can even entertain some more questions and thoughts too. But they mentioned about bell peppers. This is how you would prep the vegetables first. The bell peppers, you're going to take the seeds out and cut them into quarters. Meaning forks. With onions, you're going to peel and cut them into all the way to the root and put them in like quarters, or in fourths. With yellow squash, those who eat that yellow squash, zucchini, eggplant, you cut them lengthwise into the meaty, and cut them into lengthwise like meaty steak-like rectangles. Then I mentioned about cremini mushrooms. I have no idea what cremini mushrooms is, but it was on this website I went to that was listed there. They say you're going to remove stems, halves, if they're large. Now, asparagus, you're going to trim the woody ends. I didn't know asparagus had woody ends. I thought it just had ends, but this thing said woody ends. Tomatoes, it said buy a small tomatoes, the ones that are still on the vine, if you can, and keep them intact so that the stem can act as a handle for moving the blistered tomatoes from the grill. Now, here we go. To prevent sticking to the grill, you want to brush the vegetables with oil after slicing and making sure your grill is very clean. So that's definitely important. I remember I mentioned about making sure your grill is clean. So if you're going to grill vegetables, you do definitely want your rack clean. And they say to brush them with like some sort of vegetable oil or olive oil. Now, remember what Vanessa says, 1 tablespoon of olive oil is 125 calories. So I guess you can determine how much olive oil or vegetable oil you're going to put on these vegetables. And they say they do that just for, the flavor. And everyday olive oil is your best bet for both flavor and color on the finished vegetables. All right. How long do vegetables take to cook on the grill? Cook time depends on the size and shape of the vegetables, but also most grills have hot spots that we can use for our advantage. For example, you can place part of your vegetables that can handle high heat, or which would be like peppers and onions, and put them like near the back of the grill where always the hot spots are. The hottest part of your grill that says used on the back part of your grill. Grill the heartier vegetables first, like the peppers and the onions, on hot spots of the grill, followed by the eggplant, squash, and zucchini and mushrooms. Then, now this is, I guess, if you're grilling all of these vegetables at the same time. Then quick cook asparagus. And finally, the tomatoes. You're going to cook for 3 to 4 minutes on the first side to get some of the grill marks. Then continue to cook for the following cook times. Bell peppers and onions may take 8 to 10 minutes total, meaning 4 minutes probably on each side. Yellow squash, zucchini, and eggplant. Yellow squash, zucchini, and eggplants can take, they say, 7 to 8 minutes. Asparagus, green onion, and tomatoes on the vine, 4 to 6 minutes. They also says, don't be afraid to move the vegetables around to a different area of the grill if you feel they're not cooking fast enough or if they're getting too brown. And I got this information from somebody named, I'm going to go to my computer and look because I forgot, I didn't write it down. I think it's Megan Sprawn is her name. Or Megan Sprawn. They said she's a professional baker as well as cook. She was a part of, let me go to my computer real quick. She was a part of a team, like well known, that she even has a podcast and an Instagram page where you can get all kind of cooking tips from. That's what I went to her when I just Googled how do you cook vegetables on the grill? The best way to cook vegetables on the grill. And this lady popped up. Her name was Sprawn, Sprawn. That you can Google her. So that's what I have as far as how to cook vegetables. Which now I'm wondering too, and if anybody have an experience, please come off mic and let me know, because when I go eat like Tex-Mex food, like in some restaurants, I like getting fajitas. And fajitas, come with these vegetables. They come grilled on a skillet, which is, I think some of them are onions, some of them are bell peppers, and I forgot what this like. It's like 3 or 4 different type of vegetables they have around the fajita meat or the chicken or the steak meat, whatever you're gonna get. But I know that stuff is usually always so good. So I don't know if they are using like the olive oil or the vegetable oils that they putting on the vegetables, or maybe just whatever oils they're using in that skillet that comes to your table with the fajita meat or the steak or chicken meat on there as well. But I just know it tastes good. Sometimes it has me just, instead of me putting all of this on the tortilla, I just eat it right there off of the little grill plate, the little plate that it comes with. They serve it to you at your table. Okay. Anybody else got any thoughts on grilling techniques? And I'm asking because I don't do a lot of grilling of vegetables, but I did look it up.
This is Terry.
Or anybody disagree with this information that I found?
This is
Those
Terry.
of you who are vegetarians. Hey, Terry.
I had to miss some of what you were talking about because I got a phone call, but you were talking about air fryers earlier, and vegetables are wonderful things to cook in an air fryer. Absolutely wonderful.
Cooking vegetables in an air fryer?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Broccoli, cauliflower, anything really, onions. Brussels sprouts, oh, they're wonderful. And what I usually do is there are oils that you can buy specifically for an air fryer that come in a spray form, or I think they come in a oil that in a bottle as well, but I don't use those, but I use either like some kind of olive oil or whatever your favorite oil is, and you just need a little bit, just not very much at all, that you put in on the vegetables after you've put them in the air fryer.
So where should you put them?
And you then just cook them for 10 minutes, or it just depends on how big your air fryer is. There are probably things online that will give you a better idea of times. And the other thing I've done is cook them with a little bit of oil, and then I'll put some kind of, after they're cooked and I've taken them out of the air fryer, and I have the drawer that pulls out. And so when you close the drawer, it cooks in there. Some people have air fryers that look like microwaves types, but when I take it out, I'll sometimes put a little butter or another topical seasoning. There's tahine.
Tahine, right.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful on vegetables. But vegetables cooked in an air fryer, and if you cook them like for 10 minutes or so, they'll get a little bit crispy on the outside sometimes.
That's
and
good.
If you put a little bit of oil, and I mean just a little bit. And like I say, some people like to use the oil that is specifically made for the air fryer, and there are different flavors of that too, I think. But I just use olive oil or whatever I happen to have, or sometimes I'll just put a little butter instead of oil in there. And their vegetables are wonderful in the air fryer. I can't recommend it enough.
So that's like the mixed
Yes.
vegetables, right? Like your mixed vegetables, like
Any
any. Okay.
Brussels sprouts, broccoli.
Yummy.
I've
Yummy.
never tried them with frozen vegetables. I usually use fresh vegetables
Okay.
that are uncooked. Those are the kind I'm talking about.
You might have me. I
And
don't eat carrots. I might start eating carrots now.
oh, carrots are good in the air fryer too.
Mm.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Just put a little butter on them and oh yeah, they're good.
Hey, I got an air fryer now, so I'm probably gonna be doing it.
Yay.
Who's that saying? Is that you, Vanessa?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Don't worry, I'm not gonna use too much olive oil.
Okay. Yeah, but thank you for that presentation. That was quite interesting, though, that, how you, step by step and how you use the outside grill.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's fun.
Now we got to get you to try it.
I'm not going to do it.
I'm
This is
afraid of the
Vincent.
outside grill too. This is
Go ahead,
Terry. I'm
Vincent.
sorry.
Yeah,
much work
the one problem that I have with cooking vegetables on the grill is that I used to try it, and usually I used to lose like about half of them to the grill itself. They would just go through the to the
So
coal.
you got
Or
burnt vegetables.
no, I just didn't need them. So instead of doing that, about the only thing that I cook directly would be corn. Corn on the cob there, and that's fairly easy. And like it varies. I mean, I don't have to put any oil or butter or whatever, but there are some people
I'm gonna
that
look
may
up
want
this
that.
lady in case you guys want to look it up. Who I got this information from? She did mention about corn on the cob too. I should have written that down.
Yeah, that's
About
fairly.
cooking it on the grill.
Yeah, that's fairly simple. Usually it's about. I keep on turning it, so it's usually like. Well, it depends on how high the heat. With a charcoal grill, it's not easy. I just go more like by feel. How hot it feels. But usually it's about it's 6-8 minutes, more or less, and turn it around. And usually when it starts cooking, I may for those people that want it, I may use butter, and that makes it a little bit sweeter. With corn, it's sweet by itself, but some people may want that. And other vegetables, I use a skillet. I don't really normally put them directly, or either that, or I use an aluminum pan on the outdoor grill itself, simply because it's easier to work with them. Turn them, flip them, and then I can just I can use a little bit of oil spray or olive oil, but just so it will not stick. You don't have to saturate it. I mean, a teaspoon of olive oil is that takes away from even if you're having a salad or something, it doesn't add to the flavor at all. It takes away from it, because then what you're
That's right.
tasting is more the oil than the vegetables themselves. And the
Yeah.
same thing, if you overcook them, once again, like I like my vegetables sauteed. I prefer them on the raw side, except for things like Brussels sprouts, for example, or you were talking about eggplant. The eggplant, it varies so much. It can be tough. Many times you have to. I have to marinate it or leave it in water, or I don't know. I think I've only succeeded cooking eggplant nicely about 2 or 3 times, and most of the times it just comes way too hard. Maybe because of the eggplant itself, but I haven't had much success with that. But like zucchini or asparagus, definitely the flavor of a grill or a skillet is totally different. It's like if you cook something in the microwave and you cook something on the stove or a grill, the flavor is totally different. I mean, either the charcoal or the stove, the grill, just brings out the flavor and the aroma of the vegetables that you're cooking much better. I mean, that's part of the joy for me. That's part of the joy of cooking, the aromas and you know, just working with them, you know, using my hands sometimes, or you know, whatever it is. That's part of the joy. You know, sometimes I enjoy more cooking rather than eating. And actually that has happened, because there have been many times when I spend the whole time cooking, and by the time I'm finished, everybody's finished eating, and I'm the only one that hasn't eaten it.
Because cooking is fun. Cooking is fun. The more cooking, you know, over the years, when I finally learned how to do it, you know, it's an opportunity to be creative and to be experimental and to figure things out. So yeah, cooking can be a lot of fun. And it makes the time go by fast too, if you actually are doing it. Oh, one thing I want to give you guys, the information I got about how to cook vegetables, I had the name wrong. Her name is Megan Splawn, Splawn. She's the one that when I Google how to prepare vegetables on the grill, her name came up. She's the one who's got like a degree in culinary arts, and for it's like in baking and in cooking. And she has like an Instagram, which I'm rarely on Instagram. I'm just providing information, but Megan Splawn is her name. That I got the information about how to do the vegetables. Now, I have another question. I think it was you, Vincent. So if I cook corn on the grill, because usually when I eat like corn on the cob, most of the corn on the cob that I've eaten was boiled in a pot, you know, in a lot of salt water, and then you can add your butter or salt to it for a flavor. If you do that over an open grill, wouldn't that dry the corn out, or would it still be as juicy? I guess if I just put butter on it.
Yeah, usually what I do is I start a lot of the things that I put on the grill. The grill is just more like the finishing touch, more the flavor, as you were saying before. Many times, you know, some of the items like chicken, for example, just to make sure that it is, you know, cooked properly. Many times I will boil it for about 10 minutes and then just finish it in the skillet. And the same thing with corn, usually, or with other like eggplant in particular. For example, I would cook it, and then I would just finish it in the grill. Once again, it takes a lot of time, but it's more for flavor, and it's more for, you know, for fun.
Okay. All right. Okay.
There is, excuse me, it's Mary Ellen again. I'm just going to recommend, if you belong to Bookshare and you go up and type in grilling, there are many, many wonderful resources up there.
Okay. Thanks for that. I'm sure a lot of us here do belong to Bookshare. I have almost all kind of access for reading. Bookshare, Audible. What's that other thing I use? I got 3 different things I go for. It's like reading books, but that is one of the 2 or 3 that I just mentioned.
This is Terry.
Hey, Terry.
Are you thinking of Bard?
That's it. Thank you. That's the one I forgot.
That one.
that one right there. The one I probably was using more than any of them. So that's why I used to get all my books from. Until they came up with the app for it. All right. Anybody got anything else? It's freezing in my apartment. I mean, if you guys want to know, I've been broadcasting this show from my bathroom. No, I didn't have to go. I'm just in here because it's warm.
Hey, George.
Yeah.
Now we know what the chilling part is of the
grilling.
Yeah,
there you go. That's it. That's definitely the chilling part. So yeah, I'm gonna be under a comforter and a blanket in the middle of July, or at the end of July, because I cannot turn this thing off. I saw the breaker box, but unfortunately, where this complex is set up, it's got it's not inside my unit. It's like in a hallway, and it's a big box. I don't know which one is mine, so I don't want to be like trial and error and everybody yell, "Hey, his lights out!" Yeah, I could go flipping switch. What's this switch do? What's this switch do? And so I find mine, but I'm sure I can tell which one is for the Century, because usually those are your bigger breakers, like your 220. But I don't know which 220 is mine. I may have my daughter come over here because I'm sure they're labeled. She can probably help find it for me because it's freezing out there.
This is Terry.
Go ahead, Terry. I know it has nothing to do with grilling, but go ahead, Terry.
Right. Do you have a thermostat in your unit that
I have a thermostat, but it's malfunctioning. It does not want to go off.
that's what you're saying. Okay.
I moved the switch over to heat. It's still not going off. And I'm no electrician that I could probably mess with the wire to try to figure something out. But since I don't really have that skill, I'm not going to try and error with the wires. I'll try and error with a few things, but not wires. Might get, since Michael used to work for NASA, I might get him over here to come mess with that.
This is Vincent.
Hit
Most
it
likely,
with a hammer.
Go ahead, Vincent. I'm sorry.
No, most likely what has to be replaced is the actual thermostat. That it doesn't seem to be working. It doesn't have anything to do with cables or wires or anything. It's the thermostat that is. So that's what has to be replaced.
Yeah, it is not working. It's cold in there. That's all right. I got to go to sleep. I got a meeting tomorrow at 9:00, so I got to get some. Like I said, I may get my daughter over here. She don't live too far from me, and beg her to come and see if it's labeled. That way I can flip mine off, or if not, I'm just gonna be under the cover.
Hi, this is Vanessa.
Hey, Vanessa.
Hi. Well, maybe you can go sleep at her house. No.
That's the thought. She has a boyfriend. I don't want to intrude.
Okay.
She's 24.
What about?
She would probably want me to do that though.
What about call? Do you have Ira on your phone? You can call maybe, and they can assist you. Maybe you can do that.
Oh, I've called Ira. They're the one who told me what the temperature is set at. But I'm saying it's a thermostat. It's broken because it doesn't go off when I put it in the off position. No matter how high I raise the temperature, it's not going off. Like I said, I switch it over to heat. It's still blowing cold air. It's like Vincent said, it's a broken thermostat.
Oh, what state are you in?
I'm in Texas. I'm in Houston.
Oh, you're in Texas. Oh, okay. Can't help you.
I can go stand outside, for a moment, but I got to come back in here.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll be good. I do have some blankets. I have some covers. If I need to stay under that tonight to stay warm and put it over my head, I'll be good. I am going to have to come from under it, though. And they don't open up until 9:00 in the morning. But, yeah, I will be getting a knock on their door right when they open. So, first job y'all need to come do before you hit any of these other units. I'm number one.
Absolutely.
I may call that. There's an emergency number to say you can call for the emergency. This might be considered an emergency. I don't know. I'm spoiled.
Well, do you know where the breaker box is?
I know exactly where it's at, but I just don't know which switch is for my unit.
Well, I guess maybe along with what Vanessa was saying, maybe Ira could help you.
Oh, use Ira for that. Oh, okay. I am going to do that. Matter of fact, as soon as I get out this call, I'm calling Ira. We're going to look at this box.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Anybody else got anything they want to offer regarding my dilemma or my chill spot or anything that was grilling? Other than that,
I have another question.
Go ahead.
When you grill meat, like how would you know when it's cooked if you don't have vision?
It's like I mentioned earlier. I've been cooking enough that I know by the sound of it, I can tell by the texture of it, by me using the utensils that I'm using, whether if it is a long fork or some tongues, I may take it off of the grill, hold it up let one of my free hand touch it, to tell the texture of it. Texture, let me know. I cook enough, I can tell by the texture that if it's done, the smell of it and the sound. All of those techniques, because cooking is a process, and listening to it also is a way of letting you know when something's done as well. And then just so I want to make sure if I need to, if I'm uncertain, like I may have gotten distracted and this and else, and I've lost track of time and failed to set a timer, then I'll just ask somebody. If somebody's around, I ask them what color is it. I'll stab it so they can see it on the inside if it's cooked.
Eric Hartman has left the meeting.
Or I use services like Be My Eyes or Ira.
Okay, yeah, sounds interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Janice.
Go ahead, Janice.
So, when you talk about the different methods that you use to determine, whether the meat is done, and you say you listen to it, can you further describe what you're listening to? Maybe take like if you're doing a chicken thigh, or just, give us one example of, the sounds. Is it, what are you listening for?
Okay, that's a good question. When I first started doing a lot of cooking, especially when I started doing this training almost 18 years ago, the program specialist, he told us that meat does go through a process. As a matter of fact, when you cooking meat, that's the first thing that's good for learning how to cook non-visually. I even go all the way back when my mother used to tell me that the pot would talk to you if you're cooking something. Now, let's say I'm going to start with cooking something on top of the stove, which can have the same process as when I'm grilling. When you have a cold piece of meat and you put it in something real hot, it's going to be loud because it's cooking the water out of the meat. When you have meat and you're cooking out, it has water and it has moisture in it. And so when you hear the frying sound, that sizzling sound, that's all of the juices and all of the water cooking out of the meat. The quieter it gets, the more it's cooked. And sometimes, and that's why I say it's going to come where you have to do it enough times that you will know exactly what to listen for to know, okay, that's quiet enough. You don't want it to get too quiet, because if you get too quiet, then you start getting a different aroma to your sense of smell, which is called burnt. Or something feeling dry. You don't want that, because then your stuff is ruined. You can't get burnt out of food, unfortunately. It's almost like putting too much salt in something. You can't take it out. But that's what I'm listening for. And when you do it enough times, you probably can, once you do it, you know what to set the timer for. Or if you're working with you that you want to learn how to do, they can probably give you some suggestions as to how long something should cook. And then you could use your sense of hearing to measure what that sounds like. A hamburger patty, a grilled chicken patty, or even bacon is something great to use as a beginner thing to listen for. Because when it first starts cooking, the sizzling sound is kind of loud. Not loud that is deafening, but it's definitely loud enough to know you're frying. Chicken is also good with that. And the quieter it gets after so many times it's passed by, and if you're cooking something that has seasoning, you definitely will begin to smell it. The more it cooks, the stronger the aroma of your meat will become. And as it's getting quiet, and then sometimes it's getting real quiet, then that's when it's time to flip it over if you're cooking on top of the stove. And when you flip it over, the same thing is going to go through that process. The only difference is on the other side, it's not going to take nearly as long as the first side. That's because even though it's only cooking on one side, there's enough heat going through that meat that is going to somewhat cook the other side, but not nearly that much. So that way, when you have flipped it over, the other side that was not cooked all the way will not take as long. A great example is like a hamburger beef patty that I get from this one store. That usually when I'm cooking it, if I'm cooking it on the skillet, it may take like 6 minutes. Depends on how high I have the heat. If I got my burner on medium heat, which is what I cook with the most, it may take like about 6 minutes. Now, if I have put the hamburger patty in the skillet cold, of course it's going to be quiet. And I do that because, it's going to make its own grease. I don't have to add no oil to the pot to get something to cook. You only have to do that with like chicken or with French fries or something like that. But meat that makes its own grease, you can put it in your skillet cold and turn your burner on medium heat. And I would say still set your timer for 6 minutes because it's going to heat up enough if your electric stove is in proper condition, working conditions. And then when you set your timer for 6 minutes, when that goes over, then you use your double spatula, put one of the tongues underneath it, squeeze down on top lightly, and use your wrist and flip it over. Then it's going to cook on the other side. Now that other side, again, like I say, it's going to take a lot shorter, maybe 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. Or I've gotten so good that I don't even use the timer when I'm flipping it over on the second side because I can just listen and know what it's done. As a matter of fact, if I am making a hamburger, the homemade one, I toast my bread. When my bread pop up, I take it out and put that meat right onto the bread. So those juices go right into the bread. It makes a good sandwich. So that's the question. That's what I say when you listen for. You listen for that sizzling of the water cooking out of the meat. And the more it gets out, the quieter it will get. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's very helpful. And one other thing, and this group might already know this, but it's important, and I guess it's kind of a question / comment. It's important to make certain that the meat is thawed when you cook it, because you could be hearing those sounds if it's frozen in the middle, but it's really not done,
Well, and that's true. That's definitely important. For one thing, too, if your meat's not completely thawed out and you want to apply your seasoning, you're not going to get it all the way through because it's frozen.
Right.
It's just going to stay on top. That's not going to be very good. So yeah, you definitely want to make sure it's completely thawed. And you can do that the slow way by taking it out either the morning, if you got a full day, you want to take it out, they give it time all day to be thawed out. Or if you, depending on what the meat is, throwing it out in the microwave doesn't always work for me because sometimes it takes forever, even though they say they got that defrost button on the microwave. So something that takes a long time to throw it, I usually take out real early, let it sit out all day, or soak it in water. And so that when I get home or whatever my daily activities are, then all I got to do is just clean it thoroughly. I should have mentioned it too before you apply seasonings. Definitely do clean your meat, please, especially on chicken. I don't need to say no more. Well, they say chicken has salmonella poisoning, so you definitely want to make sure that is properly clean on both sides. With any kind of meat, I just do it. Even though stuff might be pre-packaged and they say they've cleaned it or they pre-prepped it, I'm still cleaning it. That's just me. I like to be safe. I'm sorry.
There is, Mary Ellen, there is a cookbook that you can get from Bard on Talking Book or Braille called Cooking Without Looking.
I know that book. Good book. I know that book. That's a good book.
Yeah, and it's very basic, and some of the recipes are kind of old-timey, but they're good, and they will tell you how to do your various types of foods, and from a non-visual standpoint.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Michael. Yeah, I know we're out of time here, but I think it's worth mentioning what Mary Ellen mentioned earlier too. If you're not experienced at listening and telling when the meat's done and things like that, but iGrill thermometer probe, that Bluetooth device that you can have the app on your iPhone to monitor it seems like it would come in pretty handy. It would work pretty good.
Absolutely. Okay, guys. Yeah, we pretty much are out of time. May have gone overtime.
Very
I think everybody could. Now listen, tune in next month. Next month, we're going to talk about being safe. We have a special guest. She's an expert in a conversation about security, whether if it's outdoors, in your home, wherever you're going. And she's also going to be giving us some tips and maybe even mention some devices that you can acquire from a non-visual perspective. She is well versed and she knows me, so I know she's going to come with that. But she's going to be here next month on the 24th of August. Haven't come up with what we're going to call it yet, but basically we're going to be safe.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Met
you.
Hey, good job, George.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it.
Okay. Good night,
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you, George. Good night.
Thanks, Michael.
Good night,
All right.
everybody.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night, John
We don't
Boy.
have any close night music.